Good afternoon, students. Today we'll have incredibly amazing lesson to study with you. As you studied before, we have learned something about methods of teaching English with you. But today's lesson will be so effective for you to deal with any kind of problems in attracting your students during the lesson, okay? So before studying the lesson, I'm gonna have some warm-ups for you and I prepared for you. So I'll need 3 volunteers within you. So you and you, please come to the blackboards. There are some cards behind which your tasks is hidden. According to the pictures of them, you should show an advancement about them without speaking or without hinting at points or a link. So let's go. Good job, students. As you predicted, we'll have something to study today called body language. So, what is body language? According to our written theory, body language is the non-verbal part of communication that we use to reveal our true feelings and to give our message more impact. So that's what is body language. And attention please, we'll have some exercises which are blended with our topic. That means you should not only think about our today theories, but also you will have some exercises to do which are mixed with theories, okay? So firstly, you'll have a listening test. According to our listening activity, you should listen to the audio, and through listening the audio, you should find out what percentage of young people worldwide say they feel worried about climate change. A, B, or C persons. And the next task will be for you, in which you should listen to the audio again and write down new words for your personal improvement. So let's go.
This is a download from BBC Learning English. To find out more, visit our website.
6 Minute English
from bbclearningenglish.com.
Hello, this is 6 Minute English from BBC Learning English. I'm Rob.
And I'm Sam. When we talk about climate change, we usually talk about the effects on the planet or the economic consequences. But all the damage being done by climate change is also having an effect on our minds, our mental health.
Fires, heat waves, floods, hurricanes, droughts. The list of climate emergencies goes on, and sometimes it all feels like doom and gloom, an idiom describing a situation that is very bad and without hope. This worry is leading to mental health problems, not just for the unfortunate people who experience climate events firsthand, but for all of us.
In this programme, we'll meet one expert who's investigating the link between climate change and mental health problems and hoping to find some solutions. And as usual, we'll be learning some new vocabulary along the way.
But before that, I have a question for you, Sam. The 2021 UK census reported that 3/4 of adults in Britain are worried about the impact of climate change, and it's a worry that's shared by the young. According to a survey by Greenpeace, what percentage of young people worldwide say they feel worried about climate change? Is it A, 74%, B, 84%, or C, 94%?
I think the figure will be high among young people, so I'll say B, 84%.
OK, Sam, we'll find out if that's the correct answer later in the programme. The expert I mentioned earlier who's investigating this problem is Dr. Gesh Hubner, Senior Researcher at University College London. Here, Dr. Hubner explains to BBC World Service programme The Climate Question what she's been finding out.
I think we have very clear evidence that, for example, hot temperatures, heat waves are linked to an increased risk of suicide and also other adverse mental health effects. We also have pretty good evidence that, for example, experiencing a natural disaster, storms, flooding, are linked to negative mental health outcomes such as post-traumatic stress disorder or other anxiety issues.
Many people who experience a climate change event like flooding suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, often shortened to PTSD, a serious mental health disorder that can develop after a very bad experience like war or natural disasters like a flood or fire.
But according to Dr. Hubner, even people with experience can suffer anxiety issues about what the future holds for our planet. This is known as climate anxiety, sometimes called climate doom, a low-level feeling of nervousness or worry about the consequences of climate change.
These mental disorders are different in terms of how intense they feel, but Dr. Hubner describes them both as adverse, having a harmful or negative effect.
In all this doom and gloom, it's easy to forget that many of the things which are good for fighting climate change are also good for mental health. Here's Dr. Hubner again, talking with BBC World Service's The Climate Question, this time focusing on positive things which can be done to help.
For example, if we get fossil fuel vehicles off the road, we can improve the air quality, and we know that per se can be good for mental health. If we change our road infrastructure to enable more walking and cycling, again, we have fewer fossil fuel being burned, but also we know that walking and cycling are very good for mental health. If we can change our road layout and create more urban green spaces, we already know that green and blue spaces are good for mental health.
Activities like walking and cycling reduce fossil fuels and improve air quality, but they are also good per se, a Latin term meaning in and of itself. Walking is good for climate reasons, but also good in itself, per se.
Dr. Hubner also recommends more urban green spaces, open areas for parks, plants and wildlife, which are built into the design of towns and cities. With creative thinking like this, it may still be possible for today's young people to have a planet worth living for. Speaking of which, Sam, it's time to reveal the answer to my question.
Yes, you asked what percentage of young people worldwide report feeling anxious about climate change, and I guessed it was 84%.
Which was the correct answer. Well done. It's a high percentage, which is not surprising considering that it's future generations who will live with the consequences of what we do or fail to do today. OK, let's recap the vocabulary we've learned from this programme about climate anxiety. Feelings of distress caused by worrying about climate change.
The idiom doom and gloom describes the feeling that a situation is very bad and without hope.
Post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, is a serious mental illness that can develop as a result of a very bad experience, like a war or natural disaster.
The adjective adverse means having a harmful negative effect.
The Latin phrase per se means in itself and is used when considering the qualities of something on its own, not in relation to something else.
And finally, urban green spaces are areas in towns and cities which are reserved for parks, trees and wildlife. Once again, our 6 minutes are up. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
6 Minute English.
From the BBC.
If you're pleased or not with the first activity, we'll move to another for improving your vocabulary. So here there are some pictures related to body language and some words related to it. So according to this task, which is individual work, you should look at the pictures and match following phrases with them correctly and find what is hidden behind blurs. If the first picture means perfect or great job or too loud, you should find out. You know that body language is used worldwide. Not only you, not only me, but also any kind of other foreigners. And they have different purposes for using body language. For example, if you support others, you should show like this. But somehow it could be awkward in other nations, in other traditions. That's why I'm gonna show one video about explaining the differences of using body language in different nations. So let's go.
It's well known that some gestures mean different things in different parts of the world. In some places, such as Britain, this means everything's okay, while in Brazil and other places, it's considered obscene. And in still other places, such as Japan, it means money. In Italy, they might make this sign to emphasize a point, while in Jordan, it can mean wait a second. Certain things often have gestures for them. For instance, in most places where drinking alcohol is popular, there's a sign for drinking or getting drunk. In the US, it's this. While in France, they grab and twist their nose, and in Russia, they flick their throat. On the other hand, some places have more or less unique gestures. In Russia, to say you're making things too complicated, you scratch your ear by going around the back of your head. Among the most common and probably oldest gestures are nodding for yes and shaking the head for no. But even this isn't universal. Bulgarians are famous for shaking their head to mean yes and nodding with a click of the tongue to mean no. And in South Asia, they have a third option, which involves tilting the head from side to side. It's used to acknowledge the person speaking to you, although in some contexts it can also mean approval or even uncertainty.
According to our video, you'll have another task to do, which is writing task, of course. So according to the task, you should work in pairs and discuss and write about different meanings of using body language on word, the advantages sides or disadvantages sides. So let's go. So here we'll have several types of body language which are quite important to be aware of. Firstly, facial expressions, gestures, eye contact, body movements, and touch. Here we can have some examples for each one. So let's find out the importance of body language in teaching. So the top role of using body language in teaching is smiling. Without smiling, you'll have some picture in your students' minds like a hag. The other key points you should follow up for using body language are marking your students with excellence and attracting them or involving them in thinking deeply about the tasks and making predictions clearly and making them permanently careful towards the tasks during the lesson. Here we'll have one episode from exciting movie. I think you all have seen this movie and don't think we'll have not any kind of tasks forever. So according to the movie, you should watch the movie first and speak about importance of using body language accurately. So let's watch together.
Good morning, sir. What can I get started for you today?
Express yourself.
What size? All right. 3 venti lattes. Would you care for a pastry? Nope. Oh, mocha. 3 mocha lattes. Oof. Double chocolate chip muffin. Yum. You want 3 Paul McCartney CDs. Awesome. You know, I love the Beatles. They are my life. So American. Assassination. Abraham Lincoln. You, me, gun, shoot. 3 shots. I know, I'm a little slow today. All right, so 3 lattes, 3 mochas, double chocolate chip muffin, and 3 shots. No assassinations. Oh, and 3 Paul McCartney CDs. That's gonna be 68.12.
Could you tell me when it's safe to cross? Are you deaf? I said, can you tell me when it's safe to cross. Mm-hmm. It is. Thanks, fella. What's your name? My name is Jesse. What's your name? My name is Jesse. My name. Hey, my brother, what's that? Brother, what's going on? Jesse! Was that a drive-by? What was that? Somebody tell me, was that a drive-by? Thanks, son. White people show is nice. Ah!
Oh, that's the end of our lesson. I'm gonna say about my conclusions about our today's topic. So students, you have many methods for teaching any kind of topic for your students in the future. However, if you do not smile, if you do not show any kind of interest or any kind of attraction using body language, I don't think you'll reach 100% excitement from your lesson forward. Understandable? So now that's the end. Thank you for your attention.